Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies of August 20th to August 27th as we move into Virgo season, and it begins with an exciting and energizing Virgo New Moon. Plus, we're going to see Mercury clear his retrograde shadow this week, and Venus moves into Leo, where she is going to have that deep initiation with the 4 outer planets. So we'll be discussing all of that and more in today's show. Now, I want to offer a quick programming note here to help some people who have asked about what I share. So I offer you free content in various formats. We have the podcast that's twice a week. I have on-camera videos for you on YouTube. I also do chart videos for you discussing each new moon and full moon. And then I also do the monthly overview of what's to come in the month ahead. So we've been talking about this Virgo new moon in a few different touch points and in a few different ways. So if you are looking at all of my content, you will find that yes, I do talk about things multiple times because we're talking about the same topic multiple times. So it's logical that you're going to hear the information in many places because it's discussed in each of these formats and offerings. Some people really prefer the on-camera video presentation. Other people just want the chart, or you are a regular listener to the podcast. So that's just part of how I disperse my information, is that it's in multiple formats. And you'll find that, yes, we talk about things multiple times because that's what's going on now. So I hope that helps some of you connect the dots there, because we've been discussing this upcoming Virgo new moon in the August monthly overview, in the chart video, in some on-camera presentations. And now that it's happening this week, the energies are, of course, bigger, and they are now going to be unfolding over this weekend. So we have quite the lineup here as Virgo season begins. As the sun enters Virgo on Friday, August 22nd at 4:34 p.m. Eastern Time, and less than 10 hours later, we have the Virgo new moon occurring at 0 degrees, 22 minutes of Virgo in your chart. Now, this is a new moon working with the 0-point field, and the 0 point of every sign is an initiation into its energies after we leave behind what was developed and understood through the previous sign. So as we've journeyed through Leo season, which is the energy of fixed fire, we were being guided to further internalize and strengthen our sense of self related to our gifts, creative expressions, personal power, and joy. And even though Leo season brought up the Mercury retrograde and some rather intense aspects, the sun's journey through Leo emphasizes this focus on the Leo qualities that we're developing. Then we take what has been strengthened within us and move it into mutable earth of Virgo, which is refinement, discernment, excellence, and perfection. What can be improved and what is excess? What is worth keeping? The Virgo energy has a practical lens and assessment quality that is understanding this has value, yes, this stays, no, this doesn't. So as we move into Virgo season and enter the 0-point field of the Virgo new moon, the universe is asking you to look at, what are you ready to begin in a new way? What are you ready to start in a new higher practice and from a more evolved higher awareness? Now, the Virgo energies are going to be active in our lives because not only do we start the season with a 0-point new moon, but we're going to end Virgo season with a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. So you can see right there, we've got some powerful bookends here in Virgo season. Plus, this is moving through the territory of the South Node Virgo, where we are scraping out and cleaning out what is ready to be cleansed and removed. Virgo wants to improve, so you can approach this from a very empowered stance of, what am I ready to do differently because I'm improving myself. I'm improving and elevating what I'm capable of. My skill set has evolved, and skill set is a Virgo domain. It's how we hold ourselves to personal standards that we embody and live from. Virgo is also about rituals, what you do regularly that is good for your energy, good for your mind, body, spirit, and soul, what supports you and has a sense of, this brings clarity into my world and into my life. Again, it's that Virgo refinement. So you could find that you are chiseling out some things that are no longer good for you. You're realizing this doesn't serve me. This doesn't bring me energy or lift me up. Maybe you're realizing some things aren't to your standards anymore, that you've outgrown something that previously worked for you and now it doesn't. Virgo is the 6th sign in the zodiac lineup, and it's a threshold and transition point where we accumulate our self-development process and understand more of what we're working on internally before the energy moves into Libra, where we take who we are and share it in some capacity, which is that transition from Virgo to Libra season. Obviously, we're not there yet, but just so you see how the energies unfold, the Virgo energy is asking you to look at, is this a part of me that I want to share with others? Is this something in my world that I keep to myself? What have I become aware of within myself that I want to improve and do differently? And then, of course, by shifting that, even in a small incremental way, which is how Virgo operates, it then changes the energy you take out into the world and how you interact with others. So there is a need here to personally assess what is coming up for you that is working or not working. And the 0 point Virgo New Moon may give you some beautiful insights on what you are ready to begin in a new way. Virgo season this year is going to show us that you can't do what you've always done. It's not going to work. It's not going to pay off. You're going to hit the limits. You're not going to get the results. There could be a lot of frustration. You could realize, why is this not going anywhere? Why is something not developing, growing, or happening? It's because it's still connected to a previous energy strand or a previous version of yourself that is now up for review and improvement. This is, of course, in the collective, and sometimes it can be harsh. The Virgo energy might have the intention of being helpful, but sometimes the words or feedback that's called constructive criticism is actually just quite critical and can cut to the bone. And with the North Node in Pisces right now, it's about taking a beat and a pause to consider, how can this be more compassionate, kind, and even land better when you incorporate more softness. And I think that's going to be especially important on August 22nd because, as I mentioned, the sun enters Virgo that day, and we also have Venus in Cancer squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries at 26 degrees. Venus in Cancer is holding emotional imprints from the past, connecting to what you feel, what you need, what you want. She's guiding you into how you're trusting your emotional world and also learning that it's yours. It's uniquely yours. It's not anyone else's. And to take responsibility for what you're feeling and experiencing internally, which can also bring up heightened sensitivity, the need for stronger boundaries. Venus in Cancer can also be unconsciously defensive as she wants to protect her emotional world and not necessarily let in other people or energies. And now as she squares this Chiron retrograde in Aries at 26 degrees, it can bring up a sore point, a trigger, something that does feel like it's heightened in her energy. With Chiron now retrograde, however, it's been an ongoing wound, and she could understand where she's learning greater self-care, where she's learning to manage what she's feeling, to honor it, to hear it, but to know that the square to Chiron is a checking in point on her own healing journey. So whatever comes up or comes through is showing her where she's at in her emotional processing. And this could be energy of retraction, where you want to take a step back, you want to be in your own personal world, and even the fact that you just might need a break, especially with how much energy has been moving and flowing around collectively. In fact, I would say that as we move into Virgo season, we're going to see even more of the collective nervous system is going to be really loud, which means that people can be amplifying their wounds and their unconsciousness. They could be bringing to the forefront more of their unhealed patterns, habits, and cycles. And part of the Virgo journey is not only taking responsibility for the present moment of your energy right now, but also being honest with yourself of saying, this isn't working, not only for me, but for the collective. And this will be part of what is amplified through Virgo season, which is eclipse season, and also is going to continue on after Virgo season as the South Node will continue to journey through Virgo into July 2026. Now, right after the Virgo New Moon, we're going to see the Sun in Virgo square Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree, 23 minutes. And that will be exact August 20 at 3:15 a.m. And it's the first time in over 80 years that this interaction occurs. Uranus is newly in Gemini, still direct, and the Sun in Virgo interacts with a square. And this is going to show up as collective experiences with systems that don't work effectively anymore. There can definitely be some computer outages, glitches, database problems, systems down, security problems. Uranus in Gemini is infiltrating the weaknesses of the Virgo energies here. And because Uranus is about the collective systems, it shows up through communications, transportation, electronics, local community issues. And with Virgo, it's also going to relate to jobs. Now, we know the job changes are going on, but they're going to be hitting more industries as of this Virgo. There are going to be more rapid announcements and accelerated developments that occur across multiple industries, especially the ones that Virgo rules. Virgo rules health, medical, all types of support systems and supporting roles, admin assistants, executive assistant, operations manager. Virgo relates to anything we do with our hands, so hands-on professions that support the body, wellness, nutrition. Virgo is also the specialist, the one who refines and develops a unique skill set that often has a niche application. So this could be someone who's a specialist in certain areas of research, a technician, computer programmer, social services, craftsmen and skilled trades, back office work, which we know is vital. This could include anyone who's in charge of handling finances, an accountant, organization, whether that is organizational structures within a company or literally organizing things in an environment or space. Virgo is coaches, athletes, and those who guide others to improve their lives or habits in some capacity. So this is just an understanding of how Virgo areas of our lives, specifically jobs and skill sets, are going to be feeling this zappy incoming change of Uranus in Gemini. Many of those jobs are going to be ending or phased out. Many of those industries are drastically changing because of the new technologies that are now available. There can also be big announcements here that will affect the upcoming holiday season as companies perhaps hire seasonal workers or refine what they truly need, or if they are changing the scope of what they need and how their businesses are going to operate and perform going forward. So this is going to be a big eclipse season that affects the job market, and it will have ripple effects through the holiday season and into next year. Now, as I tune into this energy even more of the Sun in Virgo being squared by Uranus in Gemini, I'm seeing these as very fast-moving energies that are being presented like 5 telephone lines, which is a little ironic considering that telephone lines are one of the older analog approaches that we're moving away from. But I'm seeing these 5 individual fast-moving energies that are moving very swiftly through us, bringing in new downloads, awareness, but also ensuring that we're clearing our own energy streams. And that is perhaps another way to think of this, is that Uranus in Gemini is clearing out collective and individual energy streams that are holding on to the new. And the energy moves faster the higher it goes. It has a highly efficient speed. And so this is a definite shift in the energies that are streaming through us that are encouraging us to move forward. This is not a time that you sit around and wait. You can't take your time, perhaps as much as you'd like to make a choice or make a decision. These energies are going to continue to pulse on and move us forward. Because if there is too much of a delay, or you hesitate or pull back too much, things move on. Things change rapidly now. And so that's part of how we are adapting to these new earth frequencies, and we're being required to show up and come forward even more. And so if you've been hesitating in a decision, action, whatever it may be, you might find that if you don't do something about it, the energy changes and you can't connect to it anymore. That's also a part of this weekend. As these changes happen, and there is that zap of electrifying influence from Uranus and Gemini. This will relate directly to your natal Mercury. Your natal Mercury is where Uranus in Gemini is zapping you with these faster moving developments, but not everyone's Mercury is ready or designed to make fast-moving choices. And there can be a definite struggle here where you might feel like there's too much pressure, you're not ready, you need more time, it doesn't seem like everything's lined up, whatever the case may be. But as these planets move on, they continue to pulse and surge at a faster speed. We're feeling that. Of course, it can create more anxiety as well, but I just have to give you the heads up that that's one of the areas that's going to continue to accelerate, that we have to approach in a new way. We have to have a readiness to make a choice, make a decision, and move with these developments. And it relates directly to the fact that you can't do what you've always done. That's where the discomfort lies. If a part of you has outgrown something within yourself, maybe it's that decision-making process, maybe it's how you take action, maybe it's something within your own habits or traits that you've been looking to improve, this is where the Virgo energy brings that to light through discomfort to show you that actually your higher awareness and your future self is saying, this is what you can't take forward. This is where you're ready to up-level and now embody more self-trust, especially within your intuition and body consciousness. So what I mean by that is that especially in Virgo season, we can have more weight and focus on the mind, on that mercurial energy. Let me think it through, analyze it, sit with it, consider this, consider that. But this is exactly where we're having to pick up the pace and now call in the messages from our intuition and our body consciousness that want things to move forward, but you can't stay only in the mind's processing system. So if your intuition says yes and your body consciousness is ready to go, but your mind is hesitating and overthinking, then clearly the mind is slowing down the show. The mind is holding back on what your intuition and body consciousness want you to choose or move towards. So just an example of how these energies could feel like they're splitting you and taking you into various fragmented understandings. The higher octave of Virgo is in the cohesive operations of the mind, body, emotions, and how it aligns with moving forward in these faster moving energies. Virgo wants facts, evidence, receipts, documentation, and the Gemini energy says, we got to go, man. We got to move this forward. We got to make a choice. The bus is leaving. You can look at that on the way. Now, after this Virgo new moon occurs, and after the sun in Virgo squares Uranus and Gemini, the sun moves ahead and begins to calm down. And that's when there can be more time to process and integrate. So the sun is going to be highly electrified over this weekend. And then later on next week, the energy starts to settle and you might feel like you're able to ground in more and understand more of what's coming up for you to refine and personally reassess. How Virgo season begins is going to look very different by the time Virgo season ends. So be very intentional with this beginning of Virgo season, including that Virgo 0-point new moon. Now, Mercury is going to clear his retrograde shadow on August 25th. As Virgo returns to 15 degrees of Leo, which is where the station retrograde happened. And this is also a world point. All 15 degrees of the fixed signs are very impactful in how the energy is dispersed globally and collectively. And so as Mercury clears his retrograde shadow at this world point, there can be bigger declarations, assertions of power, strong demonstrations of will. At a personal level, you might be sensing what you have been creatively reconsidering, and this could give you a stronger direction and renewed inspiration going forward. On the same day, Venus enters Leo at 12:27 p.m. Eastern Time, and this will be a very active Venus in Leo until August 28th. So August 25th to August 28th, Venus in Leo is going to be connecting with 4 of the outer planets. As soon as Venus moves into Leo, she has an almost immediate trine to Saturn retrograde in Aries at 0 degrees 25 minutes. This is a stabilizing influence on the Venus in Leo energy. Venus in Leo is confident, strong, creative, and loyal. This is the energy of wanting to be seen. Venus in Leo desires romance, affection, love, and connection that validates her. This is the energy of appreciating others, giving that appreciation, as well as readily receiving it. Venus in Leo has a look at me quality to her, where she can present herself in a very colorful, bold manner. She seeks to offer her talents and gifts more readily, and definitely needs somewhere in her life where those can be on display, where she can show other people her talents and what she enjoys making. This can certainly be in the areas of fashion, style, entertainment, performing arts, or even simply in her personal life, where she just has somewhere she goes to be in her creative nature and feel really strong in those expressions. Venus in Leo also seeks love and romance. And so as Venus moves into Leo, that energy becomes amplified and may even be more conscious in your awareness. That trine to Saturn in Aries is a stabilizing influence, also occurring at the 0 point field where beginnings can happen. And this is a strong energy because Saturn brings in maturity, strength, responsibility, commitment, and takes Venus and Leo out of the immediate short term and requires her to look further down the path to more of the long-term developments, which Saturn is aware of. Then the next day, Venus in Leo sextiles Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree and trines Neptune retrograde in Aries at 1 degree. This is a very inspired, dreamy energy. It's quite electric and fun. It involves surprises, unexpected advancements, a deeper trust in what your heart desires and what your heart wants to experience, and even some bold new creations, messages, and exciting potentials can show up with this rare alignment. Now, because Venus is directly connected to divine feminine energies, this is going to support the divine feminine energies rising on the planet, which is within each of us, regardless of gender or sex. This is the parts of ourselves that are coming up to be seen in the light of Leo, giving you greater strength and confidence in what you want, how you want to magnetize in more of the higher love frequencies. Whatever that looks like for you in your world, this would be a powerful time of manifesting intentionally what you are learning to trust and love within yourself even more. As the divine feminine energies rise within us, we begin to understand more of our truth, our intuition, our power, and how to live with it more readily and actively. Venus in Leo is an assertive energy, so you might find you're ready to go for it. You're ready to do something now. Approach it in a new way, declare what you want, put something on the line. Leo is a risk-taking energy, willing to gamble and assert yourself. And I feel that as Venus in Leo interacts with Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, you could have some kind of revival, especially in the heart space, around what you desire and want. Now, this is going to be important to remember because after Venus interacts with those 3 planets, she then has an opposition to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 1 degree 52 minutes. This occurs on August 27th. So that means we have all this excitable, strong energy coming up as soon as Venus enters Leo on August 25th, and then a few days later, here's the big monster in the room. Here's the big fear that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius represents. This is something that feels like a challenge, an opposition, something that you have to look at and see clearly by going into the fear. This is where Venus approaches something in a whole new way in her life. She understands, if I want this, if this really is for me, I have to also face my own fears and limitations that I haven't had the power to look at. She is being initiated into a whole new level of herself that could feel like at first she's descending and going into that unconscious memory bank of previous experiences, that she has to look at a broader long-term approach that will take her into this new experience and up-level her, but she has to do so through the psyche of Pluto. And Pluto always holds our fears, hidden motivations, previous soul experiences, lifetime imprints, and experiences when something traumatic or horrible happened because you were in your power. It operates at a very irrational level within us. It's not logical, and it probably doesn't even feel like it's relevant to this timeline, but it's something within the psyche that is meant to be seen, faced, and transformed. And of course, that is one of the biggest gifts, but also one of the most intense experiences of any Pluto opposition. You have to see it for what it is and transform it. The opposition makes it feel like it's way over there, that it's outside of you, out of your control, out of your power, out of your grasp, but that's all an illusion. You could see it as a mirror of what is being presented to you, what is being mirrored back to understand that's residing deep within you, and how can you approach it with a new level of strength and power that you haven't accessed before. And so this is what Venus in Leo is doing at this time. You could even see it in the collective where the divine feminine is rising, but she's rising by asserting herself in a whole new way, not playing the old games, not getting involved in previous dynamics. The rising is coming from the pressure of the lower systems, if you will. The rising occurs because she's elevating herself, requiring more from herself, and is no longer accessible to the lower frequencies because she's no longer accessible to the lower parts of herself that are now fading away, dying off, and being transformed. So any disputes, conflicts, struggles, anything going on that feels like it's pulling your energy outside of you, that it's challenging you or forcing itself against you, please note that this is all ultimately a beautiful gift from your soul to go higher in your own evolutionary journey by alchemizing those energies, approaching it at a whole new way, requiring more from yourself, even if it's wildly misunderstood, even if it's not something that others are getting, you understand what it is for you because it's part of your evolutionary soul growth. And that's also a hallmark of Pluto oppositions. I feel too that you could also be drawing on a lot of wisdom that you've accumulated, especially in this lifetime. You're learning how to be more in your strength and your power. You're learning how to be wiser in negotiating or interacting with others. For example, there can be people you just do not engage with, especially anyone who is abusive, vicious. They could have long-term mental health issues that have never healed, and they most likely have a long-term pattern of acting in a certain way, especially if they are verbally aggressive and have engaged in fighting with people for years. These are not people you give energy to. These are not people to interact with. There are people who do not want to heal and do not want to change. And the faster we can accept that and understand it, the faster you move on. These are very predictable people. That's why it's easy to be a few steps ahead of them. They're predictable because they've been doing it for years. And abusive people do not stop their behaviors because it works for them. So part of this energy is you being very clear in what it is. Something is being presented that can be a challenge and deeply uncomfortable, but you got to call a spade a spade. You got to see it for what it is, and then you make a powerful choice in your energy, what you are going to invest in, what you are going to do, and you stay the course. You stay the course in what is for your best and highest good. You stay the course in choosing yourself and in investing in your own growth to allow everything to support your ongoing development and empowerment. And if you've ever dealt with a narcissist, then you're probably aware that accusations are confessions. Accusations are confessions. They engage in DARVO, which is a term that was developed in the 1990s by a clinical psychologist who observed that narcissistic individuals will always use manipulation tactics to deny responsibility and to attack another's credibility in order to be the victim. And if there are long-term mental health issues that have unfolded across decades of their lives, they can have a dopamine addiction to lying and portraying reality in a very distorted manner. And so if not responding looks passive or weak, so be it. It means that there is a desire for people to engage in duality. And this is where you make a choice to say, I am not playing that game. I am not participating in some ridiculous back and forth ping pong match that will never end, because these people don't stop. They keep going for years. For example, 3 years and counting. So you choose your higher path, you choose your unity consciousness, you choose your truth and what you are meant to learn through the experience. You stay the course, you stay strong, and you trust in the fact that transcending individuals right now who are not healing, who are abusive, who have long-term mental health issues is a collective theme. It's collective. And I know that because so many of you have told me about your own journeys with these themes. And if you are aware of narcissistic patterns in individuals, you know all the manipulation, control, and abusive tactics that these individuals use. And it could be anyone in your life. You could be realizing that your sister or a mother has these habits and patterns. More and more people are understanding these personality traits. And that's also why it's so much bigger in the collective right now. But the divine feminine energy within all of us is meant to rise up into higher expressions of love, compassion, truth, and empowerment because of them. And this will look different for each person. This will show up in a unique way for each individual. If you resonate with this, if this is something that you relate to and you've been moving through, keep in mind, you don't want to start new karma with these energies. It's over. It's over. The karma is closed. Don't reopen the door. Distance yourself. Don't engage, but also educate yourself. Educate yourself because it's going to validate what you're feeling and experiencing. Again, going back to the term DARVO, which stands for deny, attacked, reverse, victim, and offender. It's a role reversal that's used in order to harm someone's credibility, publicly humiliate them, avoid responsibility, control the narrative, undermine someone's credibility, etc., etc. And if it's not part of your experience, I feel that more and more people are going to be keener to recognizing the dynamics, seeing it for what it is, understanding the bigger picture of what's going on, as well as what new choices can be made going forward. This continues to be a big theme on the planet. And as Venus moves into Leo, she's going to have new strength and support for facing a fear, dealing with these darker energies, and continually growing from them by looking at what she's transforming internally. So use any and all of these experiences in your journey, whether they are happening right now or they're from a previous time in your life. Use them to gain more insight into your true strength, into how you are evolving and transforming, in recognizing what you are learning to do different, how you are shifting your own growth trajectory, and understanding more of what is available to you through these new levels of self-love and self-empowerment. And if people don't understand, if they're confused, if they don't see it for what it is, so be it. That's not yours to figure out or work out. It's not yours to have to take on. Honor each person's sovereignty and free will. Honor where they are at in their journey, but more importantly, honor yours. Honor where that karma is closed and see how much you have beautifully transformed through the challenges, hardships, and dynamics of these darker energies. All energies have gifts for us. So even when we discuss light and dark, they each offer us wisdom to work with and integrate. And that's why if you have that belief system, everything is working in your favor. Everything supports you, sister. Everything is here to improve you, love you, cherish you even more if you claim that everything in the universe loves, respects, and supports you now. And I hope this is part of the guiding belief that moves you through anything that might be showing up for you at this time. I'm also seeing that as this Venus in Leo opposes Pluto retrograde in Aquarius on August 27th, there is an intense removal and clearing out that occurs. A death happens. And I mean that more figuratively than literally. I mean that there is an energy that's intensely removed because of what you're powerfully facing. It's almost like this, it looks like Velcro. If Velcro has been attached to your energy, it's pulled off, removed, and falls away. It dies. It is no longer a leech on your energy. Obsessive compulsive people leech. They do not stop. They're always looking for more. It's that addiction that comes through as well. And I feel that there's going to be some powerful transitions happening that you might feel energetically because of this Venus entering Leo and what she is deeply reprogramming as well as permanently ending. And that's for herself. You have no control over anybody else. You can't control what they do, what they say, what they choose. No, there's something here that I feel is going to push people higher in their divine feminine rising energies. And that is what's going to change. And I do feel it collectively and globally. Now, with all of these big energies happening, we do have some very positive, beneficial alignments starting now in August into September. And this is where a minor grand trine is forming between the three outer planets. Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius are all at 1 degree of each sign. And this means they are now powerfully creating a whole new level of energy within ourselves. What does that mean? It means that we are being redirected to a higher pathway. As they align through these 2 sextiles and 1 trine, they are creating a cosmic arrow, and it points to Neptune in Aries. That's at the apex here. And this is a new taking off point of a dream, self-identity, new chapter, next adventure. You get the gist, because yes, we've been talking about this a lot in 2025. But now, as they are each at 1 degree of each sign, the 3 outer planets are in this rare alignment that signals it's time. It's time at a cosmic level to move on to what your soul is guiding you towards next. And there is more aligning for you behind the scenes that's going to be apparent into 2026 and beyond. Now, I'm really excited about this alignment because we've had decades of intense astrological aspects. We've been moving through a lot of life transforming events, and we have been required to stay the course, to stay aware of what we need to heal, what we have to transform. Those dark nights of the soul keep coming up. Got to heal the inner child. We got to look back on some things in our past or where we came from. Now, these 3 outer planets are setting a new course in your spiritual evolution. Again, it's starting right now as this minor grand trine aligns, and it's connecting 3 areas of your natal chart where you have a new pathway showing up for you. I believe that this Venus in Leo transit is going to trigger that. It's going to bring it to the forefront, and the energy is going to be stronger. But then, of course, she moves on. And because this is such a rare, special alignment of the 3 outer planets, I wanted to offer you more ways of working with it. Now, keep in mind, it starts here in August. And guess what? It lasts into 2029, because over the next number of years, these outer planets are going to move ahead together. And with the retrogrades and the back and forth that they do, they continue to match up at the same degree points and reiterate what you are creating, what new dreams are unfolding, and where your spiritual evolution is going. It's important to be highly intentional right now. And when we bring in what we were discussing about the Virgo New Moon, we know that there are things that can't go forward with you. They've got to be done, complete, and over. It's time to choose the new and consciously embody what you want to express that will continue into 2029. And because there's so much here in this rare alignment, I did create one of my biggest astrology programs yet that includes this minor grand trine unfolding starting right now in 2025 into 2029. This program has year by year guidance of what to look at in your chart as the rare minor grand trine continues to connect and unfold at different degree points. And because this alignment is so special, it's working with every astrological sign, every astrological placement between 1 and 10 degrees. So if you have any planets or points between 1 and 10 degrees of any sign, this minor grand trine is going to be working with you more personally as it reaches that degree point in your chart. So if you have, for example, something at 6 degrees, well, then you're going to want a heads up at what life-changing developments are headed your way when the minor grand trine gets to 6 degrees in 2027. So this is a way for you to track what is going to be unfolding starting now, August 2025 into 2029, not only through these transiting planets, but I also bring in what unfolds with Jupiter in Leo, Chiron in Taurus, Saturn in Taurus, basically the other transiting planets that are going to make influences on this minor grand trine. This is a big deal, and it's part of our own individual evolution. So that's why I wanted to put together something for you that you can map it out, see what's coming, understand what's being highlighted in your own chart, and also know what can I prepare for? What can I do now? What is being required of me to do now through these transits as well? It is one of my biggest programs to date, and I'm going to keep adding to it. I'm just going to keep adding in more influences and astrology to reference so that we have everything in one place and you can keep coming back to it year after year or whenever you want. So it's called Manifesting with the Minor Grand Trine, and it's basically guiding you to powerfully access the highest timeline you can, to work with your astrology chart to see where these developments are showing up for you, and to be aware of, yes, this is my direction, this is the path, this is what I'm going to be moving through from now into 2029. I have been researching this and working on this for over a year. It's been my own little secret project in the works, but I'm so excited about how it's coming together for you in terms of what you're going to learn and connect with in your own chart. We also talk about the artificial intelligence influence, how to manifest with Uranus and Gemini, with Neptune and Aries, with Pluto in Aquarius. And then also I offer you a review on our astrology journey that started in 1987. I go through some of the biggest astrology from decades ago to show what has unfolded and perhaps give you things to reflect back on as we moved through some very heightened astrological aspects. So all of this is designed to empower you, of course, and I'm really excited that this is something that you can reference for years to come. I'll put the link below the podcast, of course, and I hope that you start to see right away what is shifting for you this month and September as we go forward. Now, next week, the energies are a bit quieter and we move into September with Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. So that's also going to be an energy change as September begins. We'll discuss more of that in next Wednesday's show. But as always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been beneficial for anything you might be moving through at this time. And I also hope it helps validate how beautifully connected you are to the cosmos on your own individual journey. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday with a new podcast episode. Wishing you a beneficial Virgo New Moon. I hope the changes are for the best and highest good. I hope they excite you and motivate you. And of course, we'll keep discussing all this as we move into eclipse season. Wishing you a beautiful week, and I'll see you back here soon.